Thank you. Alan Astrup, Lincolnshire County Council. It's been mentioned a few times already today that the financing of this through the public purse is going to be extremely challenging for the future. We're already underfunded in maintaining the networks that we have. Surely the in-vehicle solutions to this problem would deliver solutions in a much shorter timescale. Yeah, okay, if we say the life cycle of average vehicle is over 10, 12 years, then the technology could be installed fairly quickly and would deliver in a very much shorter timescale than could be done on the network through the public purse.
I suppose the obvious comment on that is it all depends what you want to do. If, for example, your county said, we want an out-and-out revenue-raising scheme of some sort, then I'm sure most advisors would say, well, introduce some congestion pricing and introduce some road pricing, and I'm differentiating the two. The London congestion charge, in some senses, isn't a congestion charge because there's no variation or dependability on whether there's congestion there or not. You could argue the only true congestion charge in the world is Singapore because it measures what's happening and changes its prices very slowly, very slightly to match. So if you said, I want some in-vehicle technology that will generate money, that could be done. If you wanted something to deal with accidents or deal with better management, that too could be done. But I think you have this problem of, am I going to try to deal with the whole of the fleet or the regular fleet that moves through Lincolnshire, or am I going to deal with, say, 15%, 20% of it? There's evidence from some of the speed-controlled section, the old M25 speed sections around by Heathrow, and the M42 active traffic management, that once you get 15 or 20% of the vehicles behaving in a different way, it spins off, or it rubs off on the others, that people tend to fall into line. So, yes, I would agree with you. You could certainly do something which attacks some of the fleet. If you've regularly got Lincolnshire County Council employees, nurses, managers of various things using council vehicles, the council's own vehicles doing waste collection and things like that. If you started fitting equipment to them, then you'd certainly get a benefit. If you want to go for the prizes of safety, then in a sense you've got to equip everybody, and you've also got to make sure that the vehicles are equipped consistently. If there's going to be a potential collision between a brand A and a brand B, it's no good if they've each got their own brand A anti-collision system and it only works with brand A vehicles. There are on the market some of these vehicle information systems where the first vehicle out in the morning notices that it's skidding everywhere and it's -5, so it broadcasts to the rest of the fleet the conditions are treacherous, be very careful. All very laudable, but not very constructive, not very socially informative if it doesn't tell all the other vehicles on the road, and it doesn't tell the network managers either. So I think it would be possible to do a quick win, but a much better one is to get more of the vehicles equipped and try and do something over the whole of the cohort.
There was a thought in your question, which maybe I misunderstood it, but I think you have to be a bit careful about. I think you were suggesting that because the cost would fall on the individual user, it wouldn't fall on the taxpayer, and therefore it was somehow less costly. And forgive me if I've misread what you said, but the point I was making is that I have seen quite a lot of appraisals over the years which have completely ignored what are called the compliance costs, the cost to the individual of perhaps buying the equipment, or more subtly having to change the way they behave against what they would prefer to do, of having to ring up and book, as in the congestion charge. So when you look at these things, you do have to always remember the costs on the individuals, as well as the cost to the taxpayer and the exchequer.
Perhaps I'm being a little naive, because probably the cost would fall on the motor industry, and that will ultimately fall on the taxpayer these days anyway.
I guess the point I'd make is that actually we do know, alongside the some of the in-vehicle solutions that Eric talked about. I mean, we do know now, I think, that there are lots of small-scale things that can be done to change the way in which people travel without getting 1.8 million signatures on a Downing Street petition. I've seen some of the emerging results from the 3 sustainable travel towns of Darlington, Worcester and Peterborough. And there you've got the emerging results suggest that traffic trends there have diverged from similar medium-sized towns, that bus use has grown in those by more than almost any other town, and so on. And that suggests that actually lots of actually we need to marry engineering with behaviour psychology. And that if you do that, you get some very interesting results and actually enlarge the range of possibilities in terms of managing the road network. I think that kind of social marketing and so on. I know that there's some work being done in places like Brighton, looking at how you actually use viral internet messaging to try and create, if you like, a kind of community-based feeling of the sort that Eric just described in relation to the number of vehicles on the motorway. If you discover that a lot of people you know and trust, friends, neighbours, the vicar, whatever, I was going to add the MP, but perhaps not now, are doing things that are taking up cycling, or perhaps walking for short journeys, then you're more likely to do that yourself. And I think those kinds of things will, at the margin, I mean, the suggestion from places like those sustainable travel towns is that aggregating those up, lots of small-scale things do make a really noticeable difference to the amount of traffic and the way in which the road network's used. I don't think we should underestimate that.